Hello, Tab Nation. It's your boy Tom, and today we're doing an INI file video based off of Python. Just in case you don't know what an INI file is, of course you're here, so you probably searched it. But just in case, an INI file is basically a settings file, a configuration file. It's very useful in storing data like variables, because you can hard code variables. That way every time the program relaunches, those variables are there. But it gives the ability for input from the user. So the user can maybe check a setting like dark mode versus not, change the font, stuff like that, or a file path can even be stored in there. And then you can save that. That way every time the program launches, it can pull from that data file and it knows how to adjust your code to match what they want. That way, it gives more flexibility to your scripts, allowing the user to save settings, basically. So here we are, we're in VS Code. It doesn't matter what script or editor you're using. First, we are going to do try. Try is just for error handling. In case something goes wrong, it's going to catch it and, kind of tell us what's up. But we're going to do from configpar ser import config phaser. This is basically calling upon all the functionality that we're going to need from a Python library. That if you downloaded Python, you should pretty much have this already. If not, just Google how to do like a pip install through command prompt. But you should have this automatically if you're coding in Python. So now we need to initiate the function that we want. So we're just going to save config as equals to config phaser quotations parentheses. Sorry. This is going to be used a lot throughout the script. The config right here, you can name it whatever you want as long as where you see all the highlighting is that it matches. But this is basically setting up the functionality of what we need. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to read. Before we go any farther, let me actually show you the INI file. I've used this in a previous video, but we're using the same one because it just works. And that's the great thing, is it works across all code. INI files are always going to be the same, regardless of what language you're coding in. So in the brackets here, you're going to put what's called your section name. This is for organization purposes. We're only going to be working with one right now. We're calling it theme, and then we have our key, which is basically your variable, your stored data. So dark equals yes. So basically, the program launches, it's going to read this. Is dark equal yes? Then make it dark theme. What's the font that they like using? It equals 56. So it's just a great way to store data. And the setting, you can name it the file whatever you want. I just named it settings, but the extension is .ini. And it just looks like that. There's a little piece of paper with a gearbox because it's a configuration file. All right, back to the read. So let's read it. So we're going to do config.read, and then your file path will go here along with the file name. But because my Python script and the INI file are both located on my desktop in the same place, I don't have to put the full path here because it's just going to look where it's already at. So you would just need to enter all that if you need it. So now that we're reading that, we want to get specific information. So we're using print. Obviously, you don't have to use print. This is just for the purpose of this video. You can use it as a, like a message box, or put it into an if where you actually do need it. But we're going to use print just so we can visually see it. But the command is config get, and then the section, which is theme, and we want to know what kind of information is being stored in dark. And then we're going to do another one where we're also going to check that font number. So you can store strings, you can store pretty much any kind of information, number-wise, sentences if you want, file paths, all that kind of stuff. So once we see that, we'll obviously see this run here shortly. We can go ahead and update. So maybe the user changes a setting and then pushes save. When they push save, it's going to go through and maybe do this. So config.set we want to change in the section theme the specific variable dark. We want to change it to no. Maybe they don't want to use dark mode anymore. So we can put what information we want to be stored here and do with what we want there too. You can also create an entire new section. So maybe like down the line, you come out with like this whole new feature on your program, but you need like more settings for it. So you can add a whole new section. So to add a new section, it's simply as config.add underscore section, and then what do you want to call it? Just make sure it is in parentheses and quotations. If you do not put the quotations there, it's going to think you're trying to call upon a variable, which you can do, but for this sake, we don't need to. We just have the information we need straight up there. Then we actually want to set the data for that new section. So we're going to do config.set user, which is the name of the section. We're going to call our new key, our new variable ID, and we're going to store the information tabnation in there. So that will be the new information in there. Then we want to save the file. This can be used in two different ways. With open, new settings underscore .ini. So what do you want to name the file? So here we're actually creating a whole new file. This is useful for maybe like doing backups, recovery kind of stuff. But you can just go ahead and delete that new part and match the current INI, and it'll just overwrite it. So it's up to you. You can use it to create a new INI file or replace the existing one. So it's really up to you. You just match the name and that will replace it, and then config write, config file. So yeah. So it's pretty straightforward, very powerful stuff. It's great for flexibility in your program that you're using to give the user more specific to them. By far the best thing I've ever used this for is, for this, my script is on my desktop, my INI file's on the desktop, but a lot of times that's not going to happen. They might have the program on their desktop, but they don't want to see that INI file. They want to put it in their documents or whatever. This would give them the ability to input data like a file path saying like, I want to save it here and I want you to retrieve it from here. And then you can actually save that within the INI file and it will always know where to get it from, which you can build in. Yeah, let's go ahead and run this, shall we? So obviously there's a few different ways to run it. I'll just run it from terminal, just because that shows you a little bit more versus just pushing this little play button up here. I might as well do it the harder way. So I have it already pointing at my desktop, it looks like. If you don't, you can just type in cd desktop, and that's going to help you point directly at your desktop. Okay, I don't know why it said that, but either way. So now we're going to type in Python, because we're telling it what we're going to be using. And we're going to type the name of the script, which is read ini.py, which is a Python extension. So I go ahead, I press enter, and as you see, we got that print right here. Dark equals yes, font equals 56. So it's displaying the information. Obviously, you're using that information however you want. We're just doing print. But now let's take a look at the file, because we did make some changes there. So here's the old one, but as you saw, I created a whole new one, which is now here. And it's under the new name, new settings, and here we go. So we have, our theme, dark. As it was before, it said yes, now it says no. So we did do a correction using the code. 56 stayed the same, but we added here our whole new section and key and input and stored the data tabnation. That way now, from now on, maybe I created a program where I want to say, remember me. It will now pull this information and autofill maybe that input box with tabnation so I don't have to type my username every time. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty much it for INI files on Python in this video. If you guys have any questions or want to see something a little bit different that I maybe missed out on, definitely let me know in the comments below. Hit some likes. If I get 30 on Python INI files, I'll try to do a follow-up video expanding on this information and maybe show you more like real usage versus just this and giving you ideas. I'll show you like what you can actually do with it, like ideas I can come up with. And make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm doing automation videos every single week, usually in AutoHotkeys, but like in this video, I do expand out from time to time. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye!